and let us all do we can to build a better future. And all right, now let's move on to the next story. And this is kind of similar to that LA story that we covered. You know, Los Angeles, home for the young Turks. I mean, middle-aged McCarthyites, where, you know, they got that money from Katzenberg, $20 million. Again, TYT got that $20 million from Katzenberg. The same Katzenberg that somehow sat down with the lovely Los Angeles City Council, as well as aides to the mayor of Los Angeles, where they signed that horrific draconian law about displacing homeless tents and camps. Now, look, here's the thing. Why not build affordable homes and housing for the homeless instead of just using police brutality to kick them out?
But how could we make money off that, Kit?
But the thing is, Jeffrey Katzenberg had some one-on-one conversations with them, with the city council. Who, and remind you, the same Jeffrey Katzenberg that gave $20 million to TYT. It only took only a little bit while in TYT's defense. They did a video about what's happening in Los Angeles, but they did, you know, a pretty, this is happening in your backyard.
How many homeless people could you house with $20 million? Well, if 20 billion gets everyone, 1,000th of all the homeless people, or about 1,000 people.
That's happening in their backyard, but sadly, looks like this is going to be happening in everyone's backyard. Shout out to Case Study QB. Be sure to follow him on Twitter and check out his YouTube and Odyssey page as well. This is happening in Austin, in the state of Texas. Criminalizing the homeless. Look, I understand that there might be some people that don't like these homeless tents at parks or underneath bridges. But why not, instead of wasting on regime change wars, let's build affordable housing. Let's play this video. It's going to be difficult to listen to, but it doesn't have to require just criminalizing people. We're not in the feudal era anymore, folks. Let's play this video.
It's a controversial move that the voters of Austin, Texas approved to get the homeless encampments off their streets. A total ban on outdoor camping. This law, far more strict than the one just signed by Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti, takes the kind of sweeping action that some Angelenos argue is needed to bring our homeless crisis under control. Here's investigative reporter Joel Grover.
Homeless encampments under freeways, in public parks, in every corner of the city. It looks just like Los Angeles, but this is Austin, Texas, whose voters, like LA's, identify mostly as Democrats and progressives.
I grew up poor. I'm a registered Democrat.
Cleo Petricic is a Latina and a lifelong Democrat. She co-founded a group called Save Austin Now 2 years ago when Austin's Democratic mayor and city council stopped enforcing the city's ban on outdoor camping.
Like that, we had tents popping up everywhere.
Petricic's group got enough signatures to put Proposition B on the ballot this past May to ban all outdoor camping in the city of Austin, and it passed by a landslide.
Let's set up safe campgrounds for them where there's security, have access to water and toilets to restore their dignity.
It was a harsh rebuke to Austin's Democratic leadership, including Mayor Steve Adler, who opposed the ban. He sat down with the I-Team over Zoom.
Do you understand your voters' frustration over the homelessness issue?
Absolutely. They sent a very clear message that they don't want to have people camping in our city.
The city of Austin
can we pause it for a second? Why didn't they have the mayor say anything more than that? Because I watched this video. They only have that snippet of the mayor who was against this. But I would like to hear what else he had to say, corporate media. But let's play the rest of the video.
Encampments, moving people into shelter, including hotels and converted parking lots, to comply with the will of the voters. Austin police can now even arrest those who refuse to move.
Homelessness is an incredibly tough problem. There's so many competing interests.
How do you get homeless people off the streets who refuse services, refuse help, want to stay on the streets?
I don't know the answer to that.
Some of those living on the streets of Austin say it's not fair to criminalize the unhoused.
I want to know the reality of what's...
All right. Hold on, because there's a second part to that video. But look, I don't care whether you're a Democratic voter or a Republican voter. Here's how you solve the homelessness crisis. First, number one, there's a lot of working poor. There's a lot of homeless people that actually have jobs. But the wages haven't increased in years. One of the leading causes of homelessness is, again, medical bankruptcy. One bad day and you could freaking lose everything. On top of that, too, let's have affordable housing. Land to people so that people can live in. Richest country in the world ever. and we can't take care of our people. No universal basic income, no federal jobs guarantee act, no affordable education, no Medicare for all, no medical debt forgiveness, no investing into our infrastructure, and nothing. You get nothing. You get nothing. You're part of this weird hustle game here in America where you got to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. But the sad fact is we've been pulling ourselves up by our bootstraps. There's no more boots left, and everyone's freaking exhausted now. But what? Now we got to criminalize the homeless? Somebody who has zero power? Because what? Their tent underneath the bridge or by the park offends you? What should offend you is how these careerist politicians have been doing this to us for decades. These careerist politicians and these cul-de-sac progressives that carry water for Democratic lawmakers. And yes, there's also those conservatives who carry water for their neoconservative Republican lawmakers too. They're all in on it. Richest country in the world, and we can't house our people? Let's play this next video. Again, rest of it's from Case Study QB.
Brothers and sisters out here on the streets.
Here in Los Angeles in June, City Councilman Joe Buscaino proposed a total ban on outdoor camping, similar to what Austin voters approved.
We need common sense rules on our streets.
But the council instead instituted a partial ban on encampments only in certain areas, such as near parks and schools. And in most cases, council members will have to take a vote each time the ordinance is enforced, raising questions about the law's power to create real change. That's why some people who live near encampments think the voters should weigh in on a total ban on encampments in all public spaces.
Nothing is changing.
Heidi Roberts is an advocate for the unhoused who co-founded the homelessness housing group Haven.
Do you want the people of LA to vote on a public camping ban?
Well, I think that is a fabulous idea because I feel like the people want to solve this problem, but the politicians just don't have the will to solve the problem.
They're fed up with what they see as an unresponsive political leadership.
Joel Bellman worked for various LA County supervisors on the homelessness issue for over 20 years.
All we see is the problem getting worse.
Bellman points out that past attempts to compel people off the streets here were either blocked in court or by financial obstacles.
I just don't see how we could ever develop the capacity to house everybody who's on the street now.
But Austin, Texas officials are now being forced by voters to find ways to house everybody. And some voters in LA want to send the same message to elected officials here.
Do we have enough money to house all these people on the streets?
Yes. They have spent billions and billions of dollars and nothing has changed. So the voters at this point need to hold their feet to the fire and make them accountable for creating the change that's needed.
For the I-Team, I'm Joel Grover.
All right, Daniel.
Yeah, I feel like whenever we see these kind of videos or anything of this nature, I always get the same feeling. Everyone is treating homelessness as a commodity when they talk about it effectively, and how they talk. Oh, well, we don't want them here, so no camping laws, because you can't be homeless. Because I was introducing Kit about a week ago to the idea of, in the colonial era, especially in Great Britain, anti-poverty laws, which is what they're really trying to pass, which is the concept that, at least in that period of time, hundreds of years ago, it was illegal to be poor. So if you complained about not having enough or didn't have a place to sleep at night, it was illegal. You could be put in prison, and our prisons are bad now. They were a lot worse back then. And so you had a lot of people that had to live in like sewers and things of that nature. But it's the idea to push them away. Don't deal with the problem. Just get it out of my face. That's the idea of a lot of these homeless solutions. Again, they're not solutions. You're not doing anything. You're just kicking the can. It's just how you define a can and how you define kicking it. What you could do is we like building things in America, I've been told. The governments could build really big, I would say, projects or something of that nature where people can be centralized. You can put money into having social workers, people get the people you can get off the streets, get them built up to a point of view where they have a place that they can go that is secure and safe as much as can be done, and then get them to a point where they can move somewhere else. Also, making rent affordable would really help in that entire endeavor, which means you have to allow a lot more of these areas to be built up. I forget when we covered this story, but a while back we did this very interesting story about how a big thing that would fix these problems is so much of America and cities and suburbs are zoned so they can only have single-family homes built in there. You can only have single-family, one-story or two-story buildings or whatever in these locations. You can't develop anything more dense. You know what might help the rent problem? If you made those areas denser, had a lot more people living there because there was more housing. You know what that might cause? That might cause the rent to shoot down. You know what that might cause? That might cause the 40% of people that are working and homeless to be able to afford a place. Boom. Took care of 40% of the country's homeless problem right there. Now with the remaining 60%, you build these really big buildings that are just managing people. You know, it doesn't have to be, but I know everyone's like, oh, you can't have luxury, can't give poor people luxury. 600 square foot rooms, bathroom, have people come by, check, make sure people are if you get people that are homeless to a point where they can provide and be in society, it turns out it's just really helpful for everyone because for the economic people, you're adding to GDP, you're reducing costs. One homeless person costs on average $70,000 a year to manage the way our system's currently set up. And again, we just have to make more homes available, lower the price of rent with that supply and demand. Also, the fact that, as you guys know, a huge amount of homes and buildings are empty because they're owned by foreign owners or BlackRock or whatever else. Get people back on their feet properly. Take the people that already can do that if they just had more money, put them somewhere that they can live in, and you might actually start fixing the problem over the next decade.
Yeah. All right. Daniel, great points. I just also want to remind everyone that people are still being evicted from their homes and apartments. It wasn't too long ago where AOC and Cori Bush had to run to the House chamber because, Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats and the Republicans, too, adjourned so they go on their 6-week vacation, 7-week vacation. Doesn't really matter. And they let the eviction moratorium pass or fail. They didn't do anything about it until the very last minute when they did that little fancy sleep out in front of the Capitol building. But the thing is, there's still 1 million people at risk of losing everything because it didn't solve everything. This eviction moratorium, the can was kicked down the road. In reality, 30 to 40 million Americans are at risk of being evicted. And the evictions are still happening, even as we speak. At the height of a pandemic where this Delta variant, I don't know if it is truly the one that's going to cause everything to have another lockdown again. God forbid if we have a homelessness crisis now. So it looks like Katzenberg is getting what he wants. Remember, hey, I don't know what Jeffrey Katzenberg said to these Los Angeles city council people or to the aides to the mayor. But I do know this. They came up with a draconian policy that's now being adopted by Austin, maybe a few other cities. And then guess what's going to happen? It might become something that a lot of these lawmakers might pass. So more people on the streets, more people being criminalized, more people are being evicted. This is a maddening situation that we are in. And never forget that Katzenberg, again, gave $20 million to TYT. Never let that down. I don't know what Katzenberg said to these lawmakers in LA, but it turns out people in Austin were listening. Maybe they're adopting it, those lawmakers in Austin. I don't know what's happening in your city, your township, but the people who are homeless are not the bad guys. The leading cause of homelessness is medical debt, medical bankruptcy. The people who are out there in the streets, many of these people have jobs that they go to, and they still don't have a roof over their head. Daniel's point, the solutions he was bringing up are on point. We need to house the homeless and get people back on the feet, not punish them.
It's just, it's like everyone's like, I don't know what to do. And we're like, well, the problem is that they're homeless. Why don't we fix the word right in front of us?
And forgive all debts. There we go. I know, controversial statement. I know, it seems way out there, but I don't know. Maybe it's worth a gamble. Imagine what would happen. Everyone's debt. Forgiven just like that. I don't know. Maybe I want to be more compassionate. Maybe I'm tired of seeing people get hurt.
Mm-hmm.